Covering news where you live. This is 5 News.
Thank you so much for joining us. We have the top headlines where you live. I'm Tiffany Lee. Let's get you caught up on what's going on around our area. Today, the sentencing for Mauricio Torres is set to happen. He was convicted of capital murder in his son Isaiah's 2015 death. This is marking the third time that a jury found him guilty. The first two were overturned. We are expected to learn if the Bella Vista man will be sentenced to life in prison or the death penalty. Torres' conviction came after 4 hours of jury deliberations. This was video of Torres walking by outside of the courtroom. Josh Duggar's lawyers were in court on Thursday arguing for an appeals court to overturn his conviction. A jury convicted Duggar in federal court in Fayetteville for possessing child sexual assault materials. An appeals court heard arguments in the case, and Duggar's lawyers say that some evidence in the case should have been dismissed. They also say Duggar's rights were violated when police seized a phone that he was using to call his lawyer while they were searching his property. Federal prosecutors countered, saying that Duggar was free to go at any time during the search and could have used another phone to call his lawyer. Duggar is serving more than 12 years in prison for the crimes, and the appeals court has not said when they'll make a decision. The FBI in Little Rock is warning Arkansans about a scam targeting senior citizens. Scammers have been calling older Arkansans impersonating federal law enforcement officials trying to get money. Criminals spoof or digitally fake authentic phone numbers linked to towns along the U.S.-Mexico border where this is coming from. So the criminals will offer to protect the victim's assets and give them a new identity or social security number after they get cash mailed by the victim to an American address. The FBI reminds everyone that law enforcement and government officials will never demand any form of payment or request personal or sensitive information over the phone. You can now watch the entire Still Missing Morgan docuseries on Hulu today. It centers on the story of 6-year-old Morgan Nick. She disappeared from an Alma Little League game in 1995. Nearly 30 years later, police are still searching for answers and following leads. Arkansas native Devin Parks is the director of the Hulu series. Parks followed Arkansas and federal officers for several months as they investigated the case. The docuseries has an in-depth look inside the open case and reveals new details from law enforcement and the Nick family. You can watch the entire 4 episodes right now on Hulu. Now let's send it over to meteorologist Stephen Elmore for a look at the weather.
Yeah, it's going to be warm today. We're going to see temperatures in the 40s, close to 50 degrees by the end of the day. Over the weekend, we're going to see temperatures warming up close to 60 degrees. Then by the time we get to early next week, temperature is going to be trying to reach up into 70. Today across northwest Arkansas, we're going to be seeing temperatures in the mid-40s after a cold start to the morning. Across the River Valley, temperature is going to try to reach up to 50 degrees, but most likely we're going to stay in the high 40s with plenty of sunshine today. Heading into Saturday, though, temperature is going to be in the mid-50s across the River Valley. Across northwest Arkansas, we'll be trying to reach up to the 50-degree mark, but we're going to get warmer every day all the way out until Tuesday. This is because over the next several days, those wind gusts coming up from the south are going to be pretty strong. We're going to see those wind gusts for Saturday and Sunday reaching up near 25 to 35 miles per hour. Because of this, that's why we're seeing temperatures increasing every day until Tuesday. Now, Monday is a holiday, obviously. We're seeing President's Day this weekend, so many people across northwest Arkansas and the River Valley have a 3-day weekend. Taking a look what that's going to look like, 60 degrees in the 60s across northwest Arkansas and the River Valley. Unseasonably warm for this time of year, but we're not complaining. We'll take the warmth. Winds coming up from the south about 10 to 20 miles per hour. Over the weekend, temperatures going to be in the 50s and 60s with plenty of sunshine. No rain chances in the forecast until we get into late next week. Starting on Wednesday, that's when we could see some showers, but until then, we're going to see plenty of sunshine and warm temperatures.
All right, thanks for that, Stephen. Now let's get you caught up on some stories that you might have missed this week. The statewide election happens on Tuesday, March 7th. 5 News reporter Catherine Gilker breaks down the ballot question and the opinions that are surrounding. Yeah, what's it missing? What's it about? I mean, I can just say it. The Oklahoma State. Okay. Just tell, am I good to go? 3, 2, and 1. Thanks for that, Stephen. Well, the Oklahoma statewide, I got to start again. 3, 2, and 1. Thanks for that, Stephen. Well, the recreational marijuana Oklahoma statewide election happens on Tuesday, March 7th. 5 News reporter Catherine Gilker breaks down the ballot question and the opinions that are surrounding it.
On March 7th, Oklahoma voters will head to the polls to decide on State Question 820 to legalize recreational marijuana statewide.
The majority of Oklahomans want to see legalized recreational marijuana passed. They are tired of people going to jail for minor marijuana offenses when the idea of using marijuana recreationally is pretty widely accepted.
Michelle Tilley is the campaign director for Vote Yes on 820, Oklahomans for Sensible Marijuana Laws. Right now, medical marijuana card holders are taxed 7%. If the proposed measure passes next month, recreational customers will be taxed 15%. A recent report from an economist says Oklahoma stands to gain $821 million in tax revenue in the first 5 years of legalization.
That means tens of millions of dollars every year that will be going to our schools, local governments, helping our local law enforcement so that they can quit wasting their time and money chasing after minor marijuana issues and be able to focus on really serious issues.
Pat McFerrin is with Project Our Kids No 820, the group opposing recreational marijuana. He says the group is concerned about some of the details he thinks harm children.
This state question expressly changes the threshold for child endangerment, allowing for the use of marijuana around infants and toddlers. When you couple that with the kind of stratospheric increase in those under 5 years old being poisoned by ingesting marijuana, it's really concerning.
The group also alleges medical marijuana has increased organized crime in Oklahoma and created other issues.
I want to make sure that we don't expand these problems we already have. We feel like our state, our law enforcement is just now starting to get a handle on the medical marijuana industry in our state, and passing 820 would put us back at square one and trying to get a hold on that.
Covering news where you live, Catherine Gilker, 5 News.
Fort Smith Fire Chief Phil Christensen lost his battle with cancer and was laid to rest earlier this week. And to many, he was more than a chief. He was a good friend. 5 News reporter Jose Carranza shows us how Chief Christensen's life and legacy lives on.
Chief Christensen is being remembered as a man who would do anything for his community.
And he practiced that every day by listening to his team, listening to the administration and the board members on the things that they thought were important for the safety and welfare of our citizens.
Called a servant leader, many also chuckled during portions of the service as they fondly thought of Chief Christensen, who was always willing to help others. Even with home improvement projects, speakers even reminisced about how Christensen would joke that they'd be over budget because of all the overtime he spent serving the city.
But Phil exemplified what it meant to be a servant leader, and as you heard today, what was mentioned by others, that Phil freely gave of himself. He helped others.
Chief Christensen died after battling brain cancer for 9 months. He joined FSFD 31 years ago and in 2016 became chief of the fire department. And as the bell tolled 3 times for the fallen chief, his life and legacy will live on throughout the fire department and community.
People of Fort Smith and the region should feel good about the fact that a person like Phil served them for a long, long time. So they know what a good fire chief looks like. They know what a good fire chief sounds like. So when we go through that process, we will certainly know what we're looking for.
As long as we remember the man, the fire chief, the grandfather, the person who Phil Christensen was and still is in our hearts, he'll never die.
In Fort Smith, covering news where you live, Jose Carranza, 5 News.
All month long, 5 News is celebrating and highlighting Black history in our area. This morning, we go to the U of A. That's where 5 News reporter Rachel Williams brings us the story of the first African-American student to attend a major public university in the South.
Silas Hunt, he was from Ashdown, Arkansas. He made history on February 2nd, 1948, as he was the first African-American to attend a public university in the South for both graduate and professional school programs.
This was the first step towards integration in the South and at the University of Arkansas. Although Silas Hunt was admitted to the School of Law, he was still segregated from his peers.
As the semester went on, there were other students, other white students that came down and sat with him while the professors were teaching as well.
75 years later, the University of Arkansas is celebrating the progress of his legacy.
Because although it's been 75 years and we've made progress, we're not there yet. And we need to continue this journey for everyone, especially in the field of education and in the legal profession.
Hunt died before graduating, but 5 other students continued his legacy. As a group, they're known as the 6 Pioneers.
When I became dean, 3 of those pioneers were alive. It's going to make me emotional, but I had a chance to meet them, and they were all extraordinary men. And I just hope that they understand that they're part of the legacy of the 6 pioneers, right? And that they should carry that out and also encourage others to follow in their footsteps.
Just like Silas Hunt, you had to be intentional and, go in there with the mindset that this is what you want to do, this is something you're going to do, and it's not just for us.
While Silas was the first black student to attend and be admitted at the U of A, history is still being made.
History was made in 2006. That was the first time I became the dean of the law school. This is a repeat deanship for me. So one of the things that feels extraordinary about it is now both law schools have women deans, so that makes me pretty excited.
Current Dean of Law Cynthia Nance was inspired by Hunt's legacy, and as the dean, she says she works hard for the School of Law to have a culture of diversity and inclusion for both students and faculty.
I think for a lot of people, if you don't see someone like you who is in that role, it's very hard to imagine yourself.
In Fayetteville, covering news where you live, Rachel Williams, 5 News.
Those were some of your top stories this week. We'll continue to follow the news all day. Catch up with us again this evening on your 5 News at 4, 5, 6, and 10. I'm Tiffany Lee. Have a great day.